in my opinion, what is the best coaster at Silverwood? Today I want to do a tier list and to look at some of the best rides at Silverwood theme park. Hope you enjoy. Without further ado, today's video we are going to be ranking the rides at Silverwood on a tier list. I do want to say this is my personal opinion. You probably don't have the same opinions about all these rides as I do, so keep that in mind. So, first ride we're going to be ranking is Corkscrew. I do believe this ride is a very fun ride. It has for all those people who have ridden the Corkscrew models, you know that in the back they can have a very good first drop. The shoulder restraints do affect this coaster a little bit, but for someone like me who hasn't ridden, who has only ridden one Arrow Corkscrew, I definitely think this one is a fun coaster. It isn't too rough. It does have some rough patches with those terrible Arrow transitions, but Silverwood has done a great job on maintaining it, making it super smooth, and one of the smoothest Arrows I've ridden. I definitely think there are better Arrows, of course, but it's smooth for what it is, and it's highly underrated. And it's the first modern inverting coaster. So, it's definitely a cool one, but it's just okay for ride. It doesn't have much theming, that's why it's, of course, getting okay. Warren Creek Log Flume is another one that doesn't have much theming, but it does have a lot more theming than Corkscrew. The main drop on the log flume doesn't give much of a feeling. It does give a small stomach feeling that really does only last when you're tipping over the first drop. It's not that impressive, so I'm just gonna keep it at okay. So anyone who's ever talked to me probably either has heard me talk bad about this ride or just knows I hate this ride. That is the bumper boats. I personally hate these bumper boats. They're just annoying, and I've never enjoyed riding them. There's not any theming really. The only cool part is that you ride around a ride that I will not be ranking, which is their paratrooper. It's an interesting ride if you have people that are fun to hang out with, do with you, but other than that, it's a ride I never go on. It's just not fun. It's fun for families and stuff, I guess, but it's just something I don't ever see myself riding, and I kind of hate it a lot, as I'm a ride operator for Silverwood, and it's one of my least favorite rides to operate as well. But it's still a fun ride. I do, with everything going well, I wouldn't put it at remove, but it's definitely not a re-rideable ride. Ricochet Rapids is actually going to be the highest ranked water ride, mostly, on this list. Ricochet Rapids is one of the most fun water slides I've ridden. It really has some fun moments, and with, again, the right people, it can be one of the funnest water rides you go on. It's definitely the highlight of the water park, in my opinion. And definitely one of the better slides. Panic Plunge, a Larson's Drop Tower. Panic Plunge is so fun. I do enjoy Panic Plunge a lot, and I plan on riding it a lot more this summer. It is a very fun ride, and I will even give it good. Actually, even maybe elite for Silverwood. It is such a fun ride that I cannot wait to get back on once off season's done. Every moment, just the drop is insane for its height of only being 130 feet tall. This ride is amazing, and I just always am wanting to get back on it, even though it still, for some reason, just terrifies me. I just love it so much. Avalanche Mountain is probably the most okay water slide. It is like a toned down version of Ricochet Rapids. It's so fun, and it is such a cool ride to ride with friends and stuff. It's just not super impressive. Riptide Racer is another one I have mixed opinions about. I've had really good rides on this, and really bad rides as well. It's always fun to win. I've only won once, but when you win, it does make you a little happy. It is very thrilling for the fact that you're going headfirst down, and it's one of the coolest looking rides. Like, I love going down this water slide. It always makes me have a good laugh. Super Roundup. This is another ride. I just don't know. I never go on this ride more than once or twice per day. So actually, I'm gonna put it at not re-rideable. Because of the fact it just isn't a ride you're gonna want to keep riding. There's so much more intense versions of it, more intense rides like Spin Cycle, which we will get to later in the video, that give the same feeling type thing, just a more intense version of it, and a more freeing feeling. Super Roundup definitely pulls high G's, but just isn't the funnest and the most fun ride. A ride I'm looking forward to getting back on. I will, of course, ride it this summer, just I'm not looking forward to, and most times I'll just skip it or ride it once. There's many other rides. Now, I completely forgot its name, sadly. I'll be back. Rumble Falls is the next ride. Rumble Falls is a very fun water slide complex that does have some cool moments and some interesting water slides. My favorite being the darker green one, as you're fully enclosed, and it's a very fun experience. Again, with the right people. I feel like a lot of the water park rides are only really fun if you're with the right people, and with the right people, I think this is just an okay ride. With the wrong people, it does go down to not re-rideable, but in this instance, I'm going based off my best experience from it, and my best experience was just okay. The Scrambler will be our next ride. The Scrambler is such a fun ride, with some nice fun G's, and again, it's one of those rides, I'm going based off my best experience. It's not one, though, that I would ever really care to ride more than once. The next ride is Spin Cycle. Spin Cycle is one of the most fun rides at the park, as you'll actually go upside down while spinning. And this is such a cool ride, going as high as you do. It's not the tallest, at one point was the tallest, and it's just a good ride. So it gets good. Stunt Pilot. So I do have mixed opinions about this ride. Just kidding, this ride is amazing. It is elite for Silverwood, and it's the most elite, and it's one of the more elite rides, and one of my #1. It's even still ranked in my top 10. It survived all of Orlando's coasters that I got a ride on, which I will be making more reviews about. But Stunt Pilot just hits different on that first drop, and when I first rode it, I got to do it with the team of RMC, which was one of the coolest experiences that I would never take back. Riding it with people who worked for RMC was seriously amazing, and I will never take that experience back. And for its sentimental value and just being such a good ride, I'm putting it at Elite for Silver. And it also has some really good theming. I would say it is amazing theming for Silverwood. Thunder Canyon. Boy, do I have a mixed opinion about Thunder Canyon. It is Silverwood's most popular ride. It also is one of my least favorites, though. I don't think they should ever remove it, but it is definitely not a re-rideable ride. It has okay theming. It's not gonna be impressive theming, but it is such a unique. It's not either the most unique ride actually. It does have its story. It has a story. It just doesn't get told as well as I wish it did. So, because of that, I'm still just putting it not re-rideable. It's not a ride I'm going to ride more than once if I visit, when I visit this park. The next ride I will be ranking is Tilt-A-Whirl. Just remove it. The ride is used to be so fun for me, and just, it's boring. I never ride it. Always has a long line for it being such a bad ride. In my opinion, there's only a few good spots in it. Again, one that if you are under the age of 12 or 13, you're not gonna really go for this ride. This is more of a kiddie ride, completely more of a kiddie ride. I only go on it really ever if my family or someone or my friends want to go on it. And I mostly hang out with coaster enthusiasts, so doesn't look like I ever go on this ride. And it's just not a fun ride, if I'm being honest. So I'm putting it as the only at this point the only ride to have been put on remove. Actually, no, I'm just kidding. Timber Terror. I've ridden this coaster this year 25 times technically. The backwards rides are so worth it. I cannot get enough of the backwards rides. But just the thing that destroys this ride is it being so rough. This ride, there's a very small reason I still re-ride it whenever going to the park, and that is because it is a roller coaster. I love just riding roller coasters. The first half is actually not that bad. It's when you get to that turnaround that it hurts. It slams you against the sidewall, or if you're sitting on the left side, I believe it was. No, it's the right side. Sorry about that. It slams you into the person next to you, and that is just not fun. I feel like a good coaster, you should be able to keep your hands up with it not being too rough. I do believe they're doing 208 retrack on this coaster, Timber Terror, so I'm excited for that. The only thing it has that could save it is a tree, or Timber Terror, and that is the only decent saving grace for it in theming. I don't think they should remove this coaster. It looks amazing as the first coaster you really see. It is mostly their standout coaster because it's the first coaster you will see when entering the park. I mean, when driving by the park. First coaster you will see when entering the park is basically even Timber Terror in that case. Is Stunt Pilot, you'll see Timber, you'll see basically a lot of the coasters when first entering into the park. Shrimmers. It is my number one in the park for a good reason. This coaster is elite for Silverwood. I went with other coaster enthusiasts, and they compared this to a mini version of Voyage. Yeah, it's good. And I wasn't really, it didn't really fully, and that is fully when it is at night in a rain ride. A rain ride with it being night is the coolest, it's one of the best experiences. And I would recommend sitting back or front. Back can get really uncomfortable, so maybe sit on a non-wheel seat in the back, which would be the front part to the back. Car. Velocity Peak. Velocity Peak is a very fun water slide complex. There are some really cool ones where you actually get a feeling of G-force, and there's just one that I still get nervous on riding. Like, it's like a drop tower, a smaller version of the drop tower, and it is amazing. My favorite is the fully enclosed one that you will see in the park, and it's just a fun water slide complex. My last spot goes to the amazing Aftershock. I have to put this at elite for Silverwood above Panic Plunge for one reason. It feels like two drop towers in one. If you've never ridden a Vekoma boomerang, a Vekoma inverted boomerang, you do not know the feeling of a drop on one. You're dropping 171 feet down, and you're going face first. You're looking straight down at the ground in front row. Front row is my favorite seat to sit in, as you really have it's a really cool feeling. It's a seat that I usually sit in. It does get rougher later on in the day, and I would recommend staying in the front when it is getting rougher. Now, it is always rough on these sides or the wing seats, so don't recommend the wing seats. But the coaster is just pure fun, and it's just a top tier coaster for Silverwood. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and please consider subscribing and liking.